I'm really pleased with the win. I thought, we beat a well-coached team, a very young team. We thought it was important to maybe pressure the ball on the defensive end more than maybe we normally might early in the game. It's Colorado's second true road game. They're starting 3 freshmen. And so I know they had about 8 turnovers the first 4 or 5 minutes, and a few of those we turned defense into offense, and I thought really put them on their heels early. And give them credit, they kept fighting. They almost got it to single digits in the second half, but it's a good win for our program. We got a lot of respect for how hard Coach Boyle's kids compete. We got a whole new roster, and be a team that I think is going to win some games as they get more experience.
After that furious start, when you guys built the lead, how would you assess the team defense the rest of the game?
I don't know.
Were you happy with it? I'm
never happy, Shannon. It's like, you're going to pick out a couple possessions and say, do you think that we played good defense during those 2 possessions or something? No. But overall, when you hold a team to whatever it was, for the game, 38% from the floor and 28% from the field. You turn them over 16 times. Our defensive effort was good.
You always talk about you just want your guys to do what the game tells them in terms of their shot selection, but over the last few games we've seen you guys get off to really good starts. Your offense is in a great rhythm. Are your guys just really making great decisions at the level you want them to?
I think so. I think we have some older players that are playing with a lot of confidence. We've probably shot the ball in the preseason and practices through November and December, maybe more in practice than we ever have. I think that's paying off. I think we strike a pretty good balance between our perimeter players and post players. And, I also think that Quentin Gooden is very underappreciated by a lot of people around the country. He's not underappreciated by his coach or his coaching staff or his teammates, but he's really good. And he's getting better and better. He creates shots for teammates. He's strong. He can get in the lane at will. And he's really starting to do what the game tells him to do more than he used to. And that's a sign of a guy gaining experience.
Chris, the center forward position at this moment versus maybe say this time last year is really night and day. The difference. What has that done for on the offensive end and just for the team in general?
I think it gives our team a lot of confidence to throw the ball inside. So often you can stabilize a couple bad possessions in a row by throwing the ball inside if a good decision's made. Whether that's going midline with a little 3-foot jump hook and sort of break the momentum of the other team, whether that's creating a wide open shot because they choose to double down. But our post players, and I say post very liberally because I think Karam's more than a post player, are doing a really good job of getting open, demanding the ball, and making the right decision. And it's just a harder team to defend when you can go inside and out.
Coach, somebody asked you at the end of the Baylor game, how does it feel to have signature wins already? And I thought it was kind of a premature question. But here we sit, in the beginning of December, and you already have a very solid resume. Different than the past couple years, or I guess different than last year. How does your team use that going forward?
We really don't. The only thing that I concern myself with is being good next practice. Making sure our guys come ready to compete, have the hunger to get better in some areas that we feel like we can get better at, and sometimes that changes from game to game. We may not take care of the ball one game as well as we should, but hopefully over the course of time, everything that we need to improve in, we improve in, and we don't necessarily worry about a resume win or building a resume. I think our team has great respect for the opponents on our schedule, and we just need to continue to look to get the job done.
Good. Well, just coming off, you kind of said revenge forward. I think you said students are calling it. How did it feel? I know Wisconsin wasn't last year, but how does it feel to get these games back in Cintas? If it's Cincinnati, if it's Baylor, if it's Colorado or Wisconsin.
Again, all those programs you mentioned are really great teams. They're good wins for our program. We're going to battle a well-coached, very talented team in each one of those programs. I think anytime you're a competitor and you lose, if you're truly a competitor, you don't want to drop one again. You know, I play my kids in, you know, checkers or Scrabble, and I lose, and it's like we're playing again. You know, it's the nice thing about a home and home. You know, you get to have that team back, and sometimes, you know, you get beat twice, and that sticks with you. So our guys were ready. You know, we knew we had a Pac-12 team that you know, was 7-1 coming in, and again, I think McKinley Wright is one of the best freshman point guards in the country. George King, who Kaiser Gates did a phenomenal job on. For him to go 5 for 15, it really shows the level of defender that Kaiser is. I mean, he can guard him on the perimeter. You know, so often when you have a guy like George King, you say, wow, he's a mismatch. He can go outside or he can go inside. Totally true. But when you have a guy like Kaiser Gates, he can go outside and he can go inside defensively. And that's what makes us unique, I think, on that end of the floor.
Coach, I realize Colorado has a lot of different faces this year, but how much, if at all, did you guys talk about last year's game, and were your guys eager for a little payback? I
think so. I mean, you know, I didn't necessarily have to talk it up a whole lot. You know, we were in the locker room, and their locker room was 15 feet from ours last year. We could hear them. I mean, they were excited, just like our guys were excited today. So they changed a lot. You know, they lost a lot of talented seniors, kid to the NBA draft, and Derek White, who got drafted by the Spurs. So their program lost a lot of personnel, but their identity, I think, of being an offensive rebounding team, playing together, hasn't changed. They're just younger. And I think we got them a good time of the year to play a young team.
Chris, Paul Scruggs got hurt towards the end of the game and went back and then came back and got in the game. Do you know what was ailing him?
He got hit in the ribs. You know, he had a career-ending injury for about 4 or 5 minutes. So Paul's really, really tough kid. You know, I didn't think he'd go back in the game, but he was eager to. And he's been beat up a little bit. He's got knocked in the shin a few practices back. You know, he's icing it before and after practice, and then he gets hit in the ribs. But he's a competitor. He's a tough kid. I don't think it'll keep him from playing at all as we progress.
So from that to Tyreek's, you know, tendonitis, is this a good time for you guys to have maybe a week, you know, have finals and have a little bit of a break between games?
Well, I don't know if you ask the guys if it's a good time to have finals, but it's time for finals regardless. So it is good. You know, we've played, it seems, 2 games a week, and, you know, you have that mandatory off day. So, you know, generally it seems like we're playing, you know, practicing once or twice between games. To have a week-long stretch where I'm going to give them 3 out of the next 4 days off completely so they can concentrate on why they came here, and that is to get a degree. And then we'll worry about East Tennessee State and our basketball program on Wednesday and Thursday.
Coach, I'm terrified to ask this question because I don't necessarily want you knocking on my door if you shoot 30% the next game.
Yeah.
But
I won't knock on your door.
I appreciate that.
Know where you live.
You guys have shot the lights out, and I think everybody kind of keeps waiting for the next shot to miss and it kind of to fall apart. Did you see something maybe in the off season, maybe something different in practice that has just made you, I think you're number 2 in the country in field goal percentage. Is there something?
Yeah, the only thing that we can control is earning a really good shot on offense and not taking selfish ones, and, you know, shots where you don't feel like you touched the ball in the last 2 or 3 minutes and you're exerting all this energy on the defensive end. You know, it's not about that. You know, it's about getting the best shot we can for Xavier. And here's the thing, if we get a great shot and it doesn't go in, then 9 times out of 10 you're in much better offensive rebounding position because you've moved the defense, they're stretched out, guys are rotating, and they can't account for blockouts. When you take shots out of selfishness, guys are matched up when the shot goes up to block out. And so I don't want to say I won't concern myself when they don't go in. We're going to keep taking a lot of shots in practice, but as long as we're taking the shots that we earn in our offense, we'll have the ability to go get it if we miss.
Chris, first of all, I want to apologize for that premature Baylor question. I hope you weren't offended by it.
I don't even remember the question.
Okay, all right.
Very short-term memory.
J.P. McCure's offense, it seems like it's been coming in fits and starts over the last couple of games, you know, and 17 in the first half today and then scoreless over the last 20 minutes. What would you attribute that to?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he, we ran a few plays for him early. We didn't run that many set plays in the second half. Wanted to get him going. And, sometimes the ball just finds, certain guys. JP's such a great playmaker that a lot of times he's the initiator of a wide open shot for Kaiser Gates, a high-low to Sean O'Mara. And so, again, we got to worry about Xavier's shots. JP's going to end up being one of the best players that I've coached throughout my time here. He's going to have an opportunity when his Xavier career ends to walk, out there on senior night as part of a special team, as long as he continues his leadership. And he's going to have an opportunity to play at the next level. And they're not going to care if he had 11 points against Colorado or 17. And I hope he doesn't, because I don't. And I have a lot of faith in him as an offensive player, whether he's scoring, whether he's passing, or whether he's setting a screen.
A couple minutes before game time, speaking of premature questions, Steve Lavin and Jim Jackson on TV posed the question, is this your best Xavier team ever? Would you like to address that, if only to reject the notion entirely?
I mean, it's just it's such unfinished business. If we lose our next 3 games in a row, people are going to want to trade our guys and fire the coach. So I don't worry about where we are in the grand scheme of history. We had a really good team 2 years ago, and everybody was telling us how, we can be in the Final Four, and we were home before the first weekend was over in St. Louis. And then last year, everybody was throwing darts in us for a while as we lost 6 games in a row battling through injury, only to go to the Elite Eight and be 1 game away from Final Four outside of the 25-point ass whooping we took by Gonzaga. So we just focus on the present and worry about getting better. And, hopefully over time, we have a shot to be one of the best teams I've coached, but we've got a long way to go.